Welcome on in. It's the Midday Show. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Kyle Quinn behind the glass. You guys with us. 215-592-9494. Howard will join us at noon live from Clearwater. A lot to get into today, including more on the Hassan Reddick situation. Of course, just before we start, and it was a lot to have fun with today, just want to say our thoughts are obviously out to what happened in Kansas City yesterday. Just an awful, awful situation. Hugh, glad to hear that the Chiefs players, Andy, the coaches are okay, but obviously a lot of people are not. One person lost their life. A lot of people injured. And the parade's supposed to be such a fun moment, and it's just sad to see what happened yesterday.
You know what the sad part about it is? It's like it's getting to the point now where it's almost feeling like it's not safe to go anywhere, and that's sad, man. You know, you think about what the Chiefs were able to accomplish, going to back-to-back Super Bowls, and having a parade for their city and everything, and this is the thing that people are going to remember. It's just a sad day, man. It really, really is.
It is. It really was. And, you know, we'll our thoughts. I mean, it was nothing else we can do besides just try to feel for those people. But you're right. It's sad. It's a bummer because yesterday was supposed to be an awesome day for the Chiefs in that city, and it turned into a sad one. And, Hugh, maybe, look, 6-7 months from now, we have a parade here, and hopefully it's a very safe one, and it's a fun one.
Yes.
But that is becoming, and I'm not surprised, the feeling heading into spring training. That is the expectation for the Phillies to go out and win the World Series. Hugh, as they arrive, right, the pitchers and catchers are there. Topper's talking yesterday. We got Howard trying to give Topper the lineup. He's going to do it Saturday morning when Topper's on the air with him.
I love that, by the
I
way.
know, me too. And I'll give Howard my lineup. I'll give him my suggestion coming up at noon. But when you think about the Phillies, is that fair? Is that expectation fair to say win the World Series?
Yes, I think it is. I think when you talk, and I understand that most people look at it and think that, you know, they didn't do enough in the offseason. I don't look at it like that. I think that I'm looking at it from the perspective of the same way that I look at the Eagles. Got to let the young guys cook. There was a lot that happened with this team last year that if you tweak a little bit here and there, and I'll say, yes, they are contenders because the one thing that they have going for them, they've had the Braves numbers for the last two seasons. Mm-hmm. And I know that most people say, well, you know, you can't count on that all the time. But I think that you can because there's something about that Braves team that they are front runners during the regular season. But when they get in the playoffs and they face the Phils just have their number. And another thing, Joe, when I look at it, we're going into this season. And Trey Turner, I don't expect him to have the season that he had last year. He struggled mightily.
For a while.
Yeah, and that kind of put us behind the eight ball. You talk about Bryce Harper was not healthy at the beginning of the season. That kind of got us off to a slow start. So those are two individuals that I feel like that are going to help us get going. And Johan Rojas, like I was looking at his numbers this morning, during the regular season, he wasn't that bad at the plate.
He was not. He actually hit over 300.
Yeah, he was not bad at the plate. Now, if we get more production there, and I think that if we get him more comfortable at the plate during the course of the season, then we're in a pretty good situation. I really do. And then, as you heard Topper say the other day, there's still room for improvement. But I think that as far as the core goes, I think you have a core group of guys there that if you get off to a faster start, you're going to be okay.
So, look, they have a really good team. The Phillies have the kind of team that are going to make us dream and get excited for what October could be all year. But here's the way I view it. In 215-592-9494, I think it's a lot to expect them to win the World Series. Do I think they can? Yeah. Do I think they have a good shot? Yeah. But I'm not coming into the year expecting them to win the World Series for a couple reasons. One, they didn't get better. They're good. We know they're good. They've been good for 2 years. But I've pointed to this all offseason. I still think they're missing a player. They didn't get better. They're the same team they were last year. Now, to Hugh's point, maybe there's some natural improvement, right?
Yeah.
Bryce, a full season at first base. Turner, hopefully a little more consistency throughout the season. There's probably one extra notch to Stott and Bohm and Marsh and Rojas. So that's all possible. But I watched the Dodgers get a lot better
because they went out and got cell swords.
They got Ohtani, they got Yamamoto, they got Glasnow. Wow,
they went out there and they loaded up. And I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like, you know, having consistency and continuity, I think that counts for something.
Sure, it does.
It really, really does.
And this is a good group, right? They have a good
really,
group.
really good.
They're hard
group.
workers.
Ohtani, you more worried about his bat than his pitching
boy,
arm.
He can't
though.
pitch this year.
Yeah, he ain't pitching this year.
But boy, look, and it's not that it's a lock the Dodgers are going to win, but I understand why they're expected to win.
Yeah.
They have the best team. And I look at the Braves, and you're right. You are right. The Phillies have had their number in the postseason 2 years in a row. But the Braves win the division every year, and it's just like it's hard to go through the wild card round every year. And we enter the season, and the Phillies are a pretty big underdog to win the division. The Braves probably win the division.
They probably
again.
will, but chalk. I've noticed one thing in the last 3 or 4 years watching baseball. Chalk means nothing.
No, you just that's the sport where it's a chip in a chair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's chalk means nothing, and that's why I feel confident now. With all that being said, the last 2 seasons, you've been fortunate to miss the Dodgers.
And yes.
You've been
beat
fortunate.
the Braves and miss the Dodgers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You've been fortunate to do that. So I'm not too much counting on that, but I like where this team is. Another year in this system with gaining this continuity. I think that they are a pretty good team. I know we get caught up as fans. We get caught up in names and name recognition and getting the big name player. But I think it's something to be said about guys that have a genuine love for one another like this team has. We saw it last year. And the fact that you have another year with these guys to run it back and get better. And the Bryce Harper thing, man, like he had a power outage for a long time.
And then when it came back,
boy, I'm here to tell you, when his power came back, then it was kiss the baby.
Yeah, it was awesome. And a full year. I mean, Bryce can absolutely win an MVP at a full year at first base. 215-592-9494. Is it fair to expect the Phillies to win the World Series? Hugh thinks it is. I don't, just because, one, the postseason is random in baseball. We've seen that. 2, they're not even the favorite in their own division. The Dodgers and Braves, but especially the Dodgers, got better. I think the Phillies are similar to what they were last year. I don't think the Phillies are worse, but I don't think they got markedly better like those teams did. I look at the odds this morning. They have the 7th, 8th best odds to win the World Series. Good. Really good chance. I think the Phillies are going to have a great season. But I'm not sitting here on February, whatever today is, 15th, and saying, I expect this. It's going to be, I can't imagine them not winning the World Series. No, I think they've got a shot, but I don't put them as expectations to win it. And the other thing, and Kyle's going to hate this, but I'll throw a little history at you.
What you about to do?
It's hard to do what the Phillies are trying to do. Like, they've played deep into the postseason 2 years in a row, right? They've gotten to the World Series and then Game 7 of the LCS. History says it's very hard to do what they're trying to do, to get all the way to the top of the mountain, but not quite. Then almost to the top of the mountain, but not quite, and then go win it. Since they started division play, which is in the late 60s, that's a long time now. It's over 50 years. Only one team has done this. Lose the World Series, get back to the LCS, and then win the World Series, that third shot. And that was the Cardinals about 20 years ago. It's hard to do this, to have 3 straight years of those kind of runs, pitchers, innings, all that. I think they can. I just am not putting that gigantic expectation right now. 215-592-9494 for Topper yesterday on the feeling in the clubhouse as spring training begins.
Well, I know that there's a whole bunch of guys in there that are motivated, and we don't have everybody yet, but I just think we're very talented. I think these guys are motivated. They've had 2 years of tasting it, and now they want to take a chunk out of it and swallow it, and eat it.
That was weird.
I think that's really the only thing. And again, I'm not really looking at anything right now other than just staying healthy for the first 5 days, first week, and get into the games. I always say there's 3 times a year that really scare me, and that's the first week of spring training because the intensity level goes up from the off season. It's the first week of spring training games, intensity goes up, and the first week of regular season games, intensity goes up. So we really have to keep our feet underneath us and keep people healthy.
Topper walked into that analogy. They're hungry. They want to bite things.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a little weird.
Swallow it, and eat it.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
I get what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
though.
he it's like you've been there and you want to get back, and that's the reason why I feel like putting these expectations on this squad that's not hefty, because there is the fans can't put loftier expectations on the players than they do on themselves. They can't do it. Like these guys went into that last year, almost got back to the World Series, and they feel that
should have got back to the World Series.
You know what I mean? They feel that. They feel like they should have. I'm pretty sure Trey Turner's upset about the way that he played down the stretch. Bryce Harper as well, all the big name guys that we have on the team. So it's one of those things where when you get that close, that's the conversation in the locker room. And sometimes it's not even spoken. It's just a look. It's just a feel. It might be a symbol in the locker room or something that was a part of the run from last year that you can't forget how that felt. We made a big deal about the fact that during the beginning of the football season, how Jalen Hurts had the picture of the confetti falling on the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. Like, guys, when you've been that close, man, and you're still in your prime, That's the only thing you think of. That's your waking thought every day. You can't wait to get back. That's what motivates you in the off season, to get back to that point and try to make it right, because you feel like something went wrong and the baseball guys, they got it wrong that time. So you want to make sure you're back in that situation, even though it's going to be a whole year later, and you can make it right. You could fix that timeline.
And I like that they're embracing it. I like that they're not running from this. This is the goal. This is the whole point of this thing, is to go win the World Series. 215-592-9494. Is it fair to expect the Phillies to win the World Series, to put those expectations on them? Hugh says yes. I say no. Here's when I'll do it. I promise everybody. If they go sign a Cody Bellinger today or tomorrow, or they get a Jordan Montgomery, or they land Blake Snell, if they add one more piece, then I'll expect it.